my sister was on Team Jacob, and so she put Team Lava Boy.
I love the gory and fuzzy feels. Whatever, you know. Me. Okay. Hi there. Welcome to the Reading Queens podcast. We're here to talk books and, more importantly, some of our favorite books, because our conversation today is about getting out of a reading slump. So I'm very excited. And I don't know. I love talking about our favorite books, and you guys know our favorite books. So I personally tried to find other books to talk about. How many times can I say books?
Books.
Introduction. Anyway,
I feel like I talk about my favorite books like every time.
I know. We're just talking books. No. But it didn't work. I'm still going to talk about stuff that you've heard about before, but it doesn't matter because we're here to talk about it anyway. I'm Valia. Hello.
I'm Joanna.
I'm Rose.
Yeah, and we're just gonna dive right in. Well, we're gonna dive right in and talk about our lives first, because you guys obviously want to know what's going on with us. I want to know what's going on with us. So, hi. How are you?
Hi. Here we are.
We are, yes.
So this weekend, it's my son's birthday this weekend, and we've never done like a friend party, but he was dying to do a friend party because he went to some birthday parties to some places where they do like laser tags and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
he invited 3 of his friends to go to this place close to us that has like laser tag and bounce houses and like rollerblading and like all kinds of fun stuff like that. And so our other 2 kids were elsewhere. They were not with us. But we had like picked up all of the kids, and I asked my husband, I was like, did you take any like headache medicine? Because he gets headaches with like loud noises. He's like, no, should I have? And we got in the car, and within like 5 minutes, he turned to me. He's like, that's why you asked me about headache medicine. Because these boys, they're like 7 and 8-year-olds, were just loud and jammering and so excited.
That is so funny.
Aww,
So he had a delayed headache.
Yeah, he did. With the noise. He's like, I was wondering why you had asked me that, because I was fine, but getting in that car full of boys and their
That'll
noise.
do it.
But it was so cute because the first thing that we did was laser tag. I wasn't going to play, but I got this cute picture of the 4 of them all huddled together because they're plotting against me and my husband about what they were going to do when we got in to go play laser tag. So
did you play or no?
yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
I did.
I was like, you should have.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was fun. I didn't do
that's
like
so
the
cool.
bouncy house
no.
things, but
Laser tag works, though.
it was fun. It was fun.
Well,
that's
you know,
really cool.
boys will be boys, because when my husband turned 40 a while back, he wanted a laser tag party. And so we we rented the whole place, and we had all of our friends, and we were just doing laser tag like little kids.
Fun.
And we had the best time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds like a blast.
it was so
for
much fun.
We should do one for the queens.
We should.
Oh my
Do
gosh.
a laser tag for the queens.
Now that would be awesome. I
That
would
would
love
be.
that. We had to remember that for when we get together.
I know. We're just desperate at this point to get together.
Yes.
We're like, just do whatever. It's fine. We just want to be together.
Yeah, anywhere. We'll
that's
go.
true.
We'll do anything.
Yeah.
We don't care.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember we used to do those, like for teen activities, we would go and do the laser tag, and I always loved it. But even as an adult, I love stuff
It's
like
fun.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Anything else exciting going on in your life, Rose?
Oh, what's good? I don't know. I mean,
She's holding Penny while she's talking.
I feel like there's always something going on in my life. So, I'm having a shed built in my backyard today.
Yeah, in case there's any noise, you know.
So that's going to happen. And I guess I don't know. That's about it. I mean, nothing.
Shed.
Yeah, nothing huge, but I'm excited about my shed because that's where I need to put a ton of boxes that I have in my garage so I can park in my garage. I haven't been able to park in my garage in like I don't even know how many months.
That's funny.
And I'm tired.
It's very
I'm tired of it.
normal.
Yes, I was like, I need my garage back.
I know my dad actually built himself a shed in the back, and he's very proud of it. It's like a little tiny house, and he just has all his tools back there and stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, our garage is, I mean, way more organized too because of it. Because he's just like, let me just put all my stuff up here. And then he bought a bunch of, I don't know why I'm talking about this. This is not my life. But he bought like a whole organizational, like, you know, those red cabinets, whatever, for his, all his tools and all this stuff.
Those are
so,
nice.
Yeah, they look really nice. They're very much preparing for like in a couple of years to retire, so they want to have all their stuff like all beautiful and ready to go and stuff. I'm just like, you guys are so cute.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about books.
Books. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So I asked the ladies to come prepared, as always, with, I said 3 books that are kind of their go-to to get out of a reading slump, but we're just going to talk about some of our favorites. It might not be 3, it might be more, it might be less. I don't know. I'm bad at doing my own homework, but that's beside the point. We were talking about this before we started is, you know, reading slumps are very personal, right? Like nobody's just going to read the same exact book to get out of a reading slump, and they're not going to deal with a reading slump the same way that, you know, like I might or whatever. Like you guys are not going to watch horror movies and read thriller books to get out of a reading slump. Like that's a Valia thing. So that, you know, taking that into consideration, obviously some of these might not be your books, but I just love like hearing other people's, I guess, thought process.
Yeah.
when it comes to it.
I wanted to bring up too, like sometimes a reading slump is, I mean, for me, like it'll directly tie into my mental health, you know, like when
That's a good point.
My depression, my depression kind of kicks in a little bit, and I don't want to do anything, to be honest. I don't want to read, you know. And so sometimes my reading slumps are because of how I'm feeling. In fact, the past few weeks have been kind of rough. Living in Utah, there's this thing that many people in Utah suffer from, seasonal affective disorder, or SAD.
Yes, that's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Just that we have less sunlight and our elevation is really high, that a lot of people suffer from it, especially this time of year, like January, February, March, until we can see the sun more, and I'm sure people in other places too. But I was talking to one of the other queens just a couple of days ago about how it's been a little rough the past few weeks, and it has been for them too. One of the other ones that also lives in Utah. So, like I'm in a reading slump right now, and I think that that's why, because, and I had heard, I can't even remember where I read it or where I heard it, but I talk about rereading all the time. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I have in a while. But one of the reasons I like to reread favorites is because that helps me get out of reading slump. It helps me feel better. Mm-hmm. And I had heard somewhere that the reason why we like to reread or rewatch shows, like I'm rewatching How I Met Your Mother again, even though I've seen it a bunch of times. But I'll do the same thing with The Office and Friends. Yeah. And it's because it's something, it's like comfort food. Like, I know I like it. I know what's coming. Even though I've seen the episode how many times, I don't know, it just kind of gives your brain a break. And I feel like it's the same thing with like rereading.
Yeah, it gives you like the warm fuzzies.
You know you like it. You know what's coming. You know you like the emotion you feel while you're reading it. And so,
right. And I think that's like the big thing about or getting out of a reading slump. I think it's like the emotion that gets us out of it. It's like feeling the warms and fuzzies. It's not really about like the book itself. It's what like you take out of it. You know, like that comfort. Yeah, like you said, like comfort food.
It's comfort food. Which
So
is why I reread like Vampire Academy. I've read like that series and Bloodlines I think 3 times, and that's
a
12.
Long series.
That's 12 books all put together. I think I've read the 2 series 3 times.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like visiting an old friend, you know?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I love this friend, and I'm going to have, you know.
I get to go hang out with them.
Spend some time with them. It's like a friend. I totally get that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very true, which I guess it's really funny when I say that thrillers get me out of reading slumps. I love the gory and fuzzy feels, whatever,
That's my old friend is the murderer.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's great, guys. It's great. It's funny, though. My reading slumps always seem to coincide with my writing schedule. Like, when I am getting ready to start a new series, I can't read. Like, my brain is just like, no, it's just so hyper focused on the new idea that it like doesn't want anything else. I will rewatch old shows though. Like, I'm going through Supernatural again for like the 20th time. I don't know. But I've been having it like on in the background a lot, and so I'm like, I think it's season like 5 now, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like a rewatch number 30 at this point. I don't know. But I can't really read, right? Yeah. And when I'm hardcore drafting, I can't read. So I like read in between. Like, I'm still writing, but I like read in between of starting a book and then like really being in the middle of it. I have to like sneak in something in there. But this is why I read outside of my genre a lot of times to get out of a reading slump, because like my brain still needs the stimulation of reading, because like I love it, so I want to do it, but I can't read fantasy. Like I can't do that while I'm drafting or anything like that. So that's why my books are probably a little weird. Not surprising, but a little weird.
That makes sense. And I also find like when I'm drafting, I feel like I'm the same way. I cannot read something super similar. Because then I'm like, oh gosh, I need to have my own thoughts in my brain about my book and not this book. And so, yes. And so I was doing this thing where I was listening to a book on audio. And as I was getting into it, a lot of what was happening in that book was stuff that I was planning for mine. And so I had to turn it off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot listen to this right now because some of these things are super similar to what I want to do with my characters. And oh no,
interesting.
Yes. And then I was like, do I still do these things with my characters? So, I feel like I just should not have started that book. And I'm not even going to say what it is right now.
Yeah, don't tell us.
But I had to put it away. It's like,
yeah. It's true, though. I know that I can't listen to audiobooks at all while I'm writing, because that is a very direct in your head voice. So if I am reading anything similar to what I'm writing or like in the same genre and it's an audiobook, like that is a no for me. So I totally understand that, because then like you can't tell, or is that my voice or somebody else?
Exactly. Oh.
Writer problems.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Big time.
I know this is a reading podcast, but we needed a little.
That's another reason to reread, though, is it's not gonna hopefully mess up what you're writing.
Yeah, I also think that rereading for a writer, I think rereading really helps, because as we write more and as we get like better at writing, we recognize more of like why we love certain books, like we pick out those tropes, we pick out those conversations, we pick out those settings and whatever. And the best written books are the books that we love, right? So like as a writer, if we love the book we're writing, it's going to be better than the one we don't. So I think it's like really fun to reread sometimes, because you can go back and you can like get those feels from certain things, and then like you kind of discover those things you love for yourself again, and you're like, oh yeah. So it's like, it's okay to write those into your book, you just make it your own, because everything we write is our own, you know?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a slight writing tangent that we did just now. But yeah, let's talk about the actual book. So Joanna's going to start us off. Let's just go around the room like we did with the other ones, where we go one at a time, or you just need to talk about a book. Just get your feelings out.
Well,
let's do it.
I didn't want to talk about the ones I always talk about, because I always talk about them. I already mentioned Vampire Academy. I think I talked about a selection last week. Like, it happens, that's another reread. But I found a few books that were new to me that I actually flew through, and I think that they would be good to get out of a reading slump. And the first one is Throne of Glass. I read that about a year ago, and I think you know that I love it. But I read it for the first time a year ago, and I haven't finished the series. I've only read, I think I'm still stuck in the third book. But that first one, I just flew through. And I think I was in a reading slump when I picked it up, and it helped get me out of it. So
That's a good
that's
one.
my first one.
Yeah.
It's a different one for you.
It is. It's different.
Branching out. I love it.
I love it. Rose, what about you?
So, okay, the number one book that I go to when I'm in a slump is good old Twilight.
Aw.
So, and I go to that book because I just have so many feels with that book. And I know that book is very polarizing. I mean, you either really, really love it or you really, really don't. And I really, really love it. And I like going to it because it just gives me all the warm fuzzies. I get the butterflies in my stomach. I mean, it just makes me like giddy and I feel so good. And so for me, it just makes me like want to like, read more and do more. And I just, I can write better because I went and had time with my old friend.
Yeah.
So.
I would add that one to my list too. I've reread that one a bunch of times. And
Yeah.
And I think I've talked about it before, but Twilight was the reason why I started writing
Same.
young adult fantasy. It was because of that series.
Me too. Valia, did you say you too?
Oh, no, that wasn't my reason.
I was going to say, what?
No, I remember I went through stages when I reread those books a lot. And I think those books played a big part in a lot of our writing lives, like just in general. Even there's people who won't even admit it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it has played a big, because I remember that was the book, the Breaking Dawn, the last book.
Yeah.
I actually went to the launch party at midnight at my Borders.
So I did it at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
Me
well,
too.
there was like a Borders right next to my house, but I remember like I went by myself and I sat with a bunch of strangers and we sat on the floor and we waited for like the book to be given out, and then we just like read the first chapter while we're sitting there.
Oh,
and
yes.
just like that experience is so vivid in my brain because like I think it was like the first time that I was like, oh my goodness, people like come together and read stuff. Because I wasn't part of like the Harry Potter world, right? Like I came here after a lot of the kids already read it and were already in it and stuff like that. So I was never part of like growing up with that or like Percy Jackson. Like I know the people are, still going crazy about both of those series, but like this was the series that I saw firsthand how writing and like books can really make like fans.
Yeah.
Like, actual
fandoms.
Yeah.
Well, and there's, there's
huge.
the whole Team Edward and Team Jacob. And when the movies were coming out, my mom and I were both just really into the books and the movies, and we'd always go together.
Aww.
And when we went to go see Eclipse, we made shirts for Eclipse. And, everyone had the shirts of like Team Edward or Team Jacob, but we put on ours Team Cedric because Rob Pattinson played him. And then my sister was on Team Jacob, and so she put Team Lava Boy because but yeah, like going to those and seeing like the fan base and how,
incredible. I mean, that fan base is incredible. And I've seen the movies like 5,000 times.
Yeah.
I cannot get enough of those movies. I can't. And the book, I just love all of it. However, I'm going to just go off on a tangent. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent. I have Midnight Sun. And I'm having the hardest time, y'all, getting into it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I read that one quickly, too.
I'm having a hard time.
Interesting.
I know.
Because it gave me this. Well, it gave me the same feels as
what's
Twilight,
happening?
so I went through it pretty quickly.
I know, but I think Rose, you're at a different stage in your life now, so I think like
I don't know.
that plays a difference too. Because I absolutely have no interest reading that book at all. Like I don't own it. I don't want to read it at all because I have a very specific memory of how Twilight made me feel, of how that worked out, and I'm good. Like this is how I feel about any kind of series that continues after it's done. Like I don't want to know what happens after the happily ever after, and I don't want to know anything outside of what I already know because, like, I have it in my brain the way it is. Like, leave it alone.
Are you the one that hasn't finished the Mortal Instrument series for that reason?
Like, that's a perfect example. After book 3, I was like, this is a complete trilogy.
Yeah,
I'm happy. I don't want to know anything else.
It works as a complete trilogy.
That is so funny. Well,
So
I'm not going to give
specific.
up on Midnight Sun. I'm going to make myself read it because I think it's going to get better, but I'm just having a hard time with Bella. I'm having a really hard time with Edward's perspective when it comes to meeting Bella. Like, he makes her, I know, he makes her sound so like the way he describes her with like her hair in her face all the time, and her eyes are kind of doe eyes, and her face is like.
Okay, so is it like more Criminal Minds-esque as the original?
It's just weird.
Because everybody always says that. They're like, if this was an episode of Criminal Minds, this would be very creepy.
Yes, I get. And then her skin is like super translucent, and he can see her like blood in her veins on her face, and it's like, ew. I don't know. It just wasn't the same for me. But I'm going to finish it because I love Twilight.
It sounds like we need to have a whole episode dedicated
I
to
know,
Twilight.
I know, right?
Because I could keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do one because I think it's time. I think
Yeah,
we have arrived to a point where we need to talk about it. So my first book that I'm going to mention is, I'm not even going to talk about it because it is the most unsurprising thing in the world, and it's The Deal by Elle Kennedy. Like, hockey romance, guys. Hockey romance. That's all you need. But no, I am going to mention this book is one of those things that I reread just randomly, and sometimes I'll just reread my favorite parts of it. It's on my Kindle, so I can like just
you like memorize the pages.
Yeah. I have like them marked and stuff just because I really love the relationship, like the banter back and forth. So a lot of times when I'm like, okay, it's not even like the romance, which I love in it, but it's the banter back and forth, and then the whole found family that you see with the hockey players because they live in the same house, and like that part of like hockey and any sport really, like the guys when they're that whole guys found family aspect it's a thing for me. Okay, I love it so much.
I did not know that about you.
Oh yeah, it's like one of my favorite things.
Oh.
And The Deal and that whole series, like really the whole Briar Hue is very heavy on that, and it's like it has these hockey boys and these like anyway, it's so good. Okay, it's so good, and you can fly through it so fast, and it is a little spicy, so like there's that. But it's honestly, it's the romance, and they're like the found family relationships, the friendships are so well done in this. Like, it gives me all the feels. That is it. That's my sappy one.
I love that.
Love it.
I love it. Okay, what is it again? Because I didn't hear you.
Oh, The Deal?
The Deal. I don't think I know that.
I've talked about it a lot because hockey romances is like my go-to anytime, always. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, let me just read some favorite hockey romance.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that one's a huge one. That's the first one in her Briar Hue universe series. So there's like, I don't know, 10 books now. I don't even know how many books are in there, but they're like standalones. But you see like the other people coming and out of it. But it's so good. Anyway, okay, sorry.
I love
Joanna.
it.
Okay, the next one. This is an indie rec of one of our queens. It's the Elements of Camdaria by Kay.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
She wrote those as novellas. And because they're novellas, you can read them so fast. And she's packaged them into 3 books now. But it is just fast-paced reading, and you can get through them so quick. And a couple years ago when I was in a reading slump, I read the first one. And because it's so short and so quick, I just went on to read the next one. Mm-hmm. So I think those are perfect to get out of reading slump too. It's elemental magic, fantasy, romance.
Awesome. Her stuff is so good.
Really good. Yeah, she's so good. I do love the what is the word for it? The novellas aspect of it. The format. Oh my gosh. I can't
Yeah.
I'm like, what is it called? Guys, tell me. Read the
I'm like, what?
I don't know.
I think that's what makes it work too, to be so fast paced.
But it's so weird for fantasy, right? Like, you don't see that in fantasy. So I think that was one of the things that it's like, I know that, some of the girls have the kids. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. Sorry, guys. But some of the kids like really love those series because they can just like get through them really fast.
Yeah.
And then like the adults, like all the queens like that read it, love it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like it's so universal for any age basically because it's just like a fast-paced fantasy story.
Yeah.
My brain stopped working there for a second.
Well, and if you like the longer form, they are long. There's 12 of them, but
right.
I sometimes when I'm in a reading slump, if I look at a big thick book, I'm like, how am I ever going to get into that? But
good point.
Because the novellas are so short, it's easy
just pick
to
a different format.
Yeah, you just pick a different format, exactly. Yeah. Or choose short stories like Kristen.
Yeah,
always talks about.
I can't do short stories.
I've tried with them too, but novellas.
But, yes, exactly. Anyway, okay, Rose.
So
is getting distracted again.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing about a reading slump is I don't know. Maybe I'm in my older years, if have a little bit of ADHD, but I don't really have to read the whole book to get out of a reading slump. Like a lot of times I'll just read like the first couple of chapters and then I'm like, okay, I'm better.
I'm good.
Because I always feel like I need to get to my TBR, right? I have all these books that I really want to read. So, but going back to like my familiar books, my second one that I'm going to talk about is Hunger Games. Because like Twilight, I feel like that it just is so inspiring. And a book that I really, really love. And sometimes I'll just read that first chapter. Like I don't have to read the whole thing. And then I'm done. I'm done with my slump. I feel better. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to read something else now.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And
I should try that. Because when I'm in a reading slump, I feel like I should just read the whole thing. But reading a couple chapters and then being able to... I should try that.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask that too if you read the whole series.
Yeah, you don't have to read the whole thing because guess what? You already know what's going to happen. You've already read it. And so
you read a few chapters and then you go on to the books that are on your TBR that
Yes, that I want to get to because my TBR is completely out of control.
Oh, mine is too.
It's crazy.
This is normal.
Honestly, yes. I think it's because of the queens that mine is out of control.
Yes, this makes me happy.
Exactly. And so I just don't have the time when I'm trying to get out of a reading slump. I don't have the time to read a whole book.
Right.
So
that's why I gravitate towards standalones. Like a lot of my stuff that I gets me out of a slump is a standalone. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do a whole series.
Yeah, or a novella. So it's the same concept. But so the Hunger Games, I'll just read a couple of chapters and bam, I'm better. I can I can go on with my life. Yeah, so that's mine.
Makes me feel slightly better considering Hunger Games is not a warm and fuzzy book.
No.
So
yeah, no.
So my second is like, it's not a book really, it's an author.
Ooh.
But Riley Sager is like one of my favorite thriller authors out there, and I love his books so much. They're super fast paced, they're very well written, and they're always twisty in some way or another. And Lock Every Door is probably the one that like nobody ever talks about, but I really love it. And it's set in New York, and it's set in like one building, in this like apartment building that nobody can get into because all like the legacies live there or whatever. And it's like a whole thing. And it's
I love
so
the title,
well done.
Lock Every Door.
Mm-hmm. It's so good. And then he has a new one coming out, and it's called The House Across the Lake, and it comes out in June. And I cannot wait. If any of you listeners have an arc of that, send it my way, please. Oh my gosh. But I'm like, I cannot wait. Because he just writes such clean, like, this is a thing sometimes with thrillers, especially. I will read it and there's so many unanswered questions. Like, yeah, the main plot has been resolved or whatever, but then like I have all these questions about this and what about this, and then there's like an open ending sometimes, and I'm like, no, this is a standalone, give me an ending, people.
Yeah.
But I feel like he does such a good job wrapping everything up, so after I'm done, I don't have to think about it again, if that makes sense. Like, my brain is just kind of like
satisfied.
Okay, exactly. It like hit all my points, everything. We're good. And we're moving on, kind of thing. So yeah, that's one of those things that like I go to. I always go to thrillers though. I will always look for different ones. But his books are definitely like, if you're ever struggling to find a thriller you want to read one of his.
Awesome.
So
good to know.
anyway. Joanna, we're back to you.
Okay, so I have two.
Okay.
Can I say two?
Yes, I will allow it.
You allow it? Okay, the first one. So I've had the Shadow and Bone series for about a year and hadn't read it. And I recently got the Six of Crows series and hadn't read it. And people were telling me that I would probably like the Six of Crows better.
Okay. Everyone says that. Why did they say that?
Well, everyone was still saying that about me. It was Kay specifically, because anyway. So I was like reading a little bit of Six of Crows, and I was reading it, and so then I went over to Shadow and Bone and read a little bit of that, and I flew through it. I read it in just like a couple of days. So I will still read Six of Crows, but Shadow and Bone got me out of a little mini reading slump recently.
Nice.
And the second book I want to talk about is The Scarlet Rose by Valia, because that one also got me out of a reading slump recently.
Aww,
nice.
Got Mafia Princess and Beauty and the Beast.
See,
all
done.
the feels,
Standalone,
and that's true. It was
done.
Yep, it was one and done, and loved it.
That's how I wrote it too. I had a lot of feels. I got it all out, and we were done.
Nice. See, that's another one on my TBR. That is why I just need more hours in my day. I've got to read all my queens. Yes.
It's true. Yeah. I feel like I'm in a good spot, I think, with the queens. I'm still missing a few, but
Me
I've
too.
gotten through a good portion of it, so that makes me feel accomplished. Because we have a lot of books.
We do.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a lot of us.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's funny though, because I feel like if I was getting out of a reading slump, I would 100% go to Shadow and Bone before I went to Six of Crows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just so fast paced, and like I don't know, just
and maybe that's it. And maybe I will like Six of Crows more. I just need to be in a better headspace to read it.
So for sure.
But I was surprised because I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. So
nice.
See, I wouldn't be surprised, because I think Six of Crows just I mean, it's written after, right? So like, she's a better writer. She has really like developed her storytelling. So you know what I mean? Like, it's just sometimes,
but still,
first books are kind of like, they're just more, how do I say this? They're just more like action driven versus character and plot.
Okay, that makes sense.
So like, it was just one girl, one story, all across the whole series. Like, that's where we're at. But with Six of Crows, it's like there's so much more involved in it, right?
Okay.
There's like the different points of view, and you get to know like all these characters on a personal level. So that's like, it's like being in a crowd for me. Like, that's how I'm like, okay, I can do one-on-one, but then when we go into a crowd, like, that's more exhausting.
You're like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like, while I love books with multiple points of view, I have to personally be in a really like good mindset for it, because then I'm like not getting overstimulated by characters and everything that's going on and all that stuff. And so it's like, that's why I'm like, I can understand why one would get you out of a slump and one wouldn't.
So I should wait to try Six of Crows when I'm in a better headspace. And the other thing with Shadow and Bone is that I've seen the Netflix series, and so it felt familiar.
Yeah,
because
definitely
I have seen season 1 of Shadow and Bone on Netflix. So
yeah.
And I only read the first one, but because then I got in a reading slump again.
Yep.
That happens all the time.
But it's the whole writing thing too. Like,
Yeah.
Reading while drafting is tricky. So
Yes.
Right. Yep. Rose?
So my third book that I'm going to talk about is The Chronicles of Narnia. And the reason why is because I found my original set that I had when I was in 7th grade. And I've got all my little chicken scratch like writing in there. It's so cute. I know, it is so cute. I have my name written like really big print and kind of like, silly 7th grade handwriting. So I have those books, and the other day when I was in a slump and I was kind of like, I didn't want to like read anything big, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to grab this because it's teeny tiny.
Yeah.
And it's a quick read. And I mean, you can read it just like, boom, you're done. And it gives you all the feels. And it made me like, I'm thinking about when I was in 7th grade reading that book. And
Do you
here
have a favorite
I am,
one?
a grown
Do you have
woman.
a favorite?
Well, I have
A grown woman.
Here I am, a grown woman. So I don't know if I have a favorite because I've only reread book 1, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I haven't
That's
reread.
book 2. The Magician's Nephew is book 1.
Hush.
The look on Rose's face right now, you guys. I wish you could see it.
Okay,
She is
My
shocked.
books are downstairs, and I want to go look at them. What?
So book 2 is her favorite.
The Magician's Nephew is book 1.
Yes.
Hush. For real?
Yes.
She's not lying to you on
I'm
a
not
podcast.
lying. And
What?
it's how Narnia comes to be. Have you not read it?
I have in 7th grade.
But I think the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that's where like the kids are introduced, right?
Uh-huh,
That's
yeah.
where, yeah. So
That's the
why
one that everyone
everybody always
knows.
yeah.
Was it?
And that's the one the movies were made out of too. So it's like
The Magician's Nephew was published first. Wow.
Well, I don't know if I'm assuming it. I don't know when it was published, but it comes in the timeline of the story. It comes first.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. So it is like a prequel, but
Well,
is
sort
it book
of.
1 or book 2?
Book 1.
Okay, hold on.
Because it's how, I want to say that you learn where the wardrobe comes from. Spoiler, the kid in that story is the professor in book 2.
Yeah, that owns the house
Yeah.
where the kids come.
And it's like the creation of Narnia. and
Okay,
how it
I'm going to
comes
have to
be.
look because I honestly
Trust
thought...
me.
I trust you. I trust you. But now I'm just wondering, it was really published first?
I don't know if it was published first, but I'm just thinking and like the set that I have, it is book 1.
Okay, I'm going to
And
go
book
look.
2 is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I'm going to go look when we're finished.
I am cracking up right now.
The one where Rose and Joanna argue about the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Going in the little description. I'm like, guys.
Okay, I am like shook. Okay, you are right. You are absolutely right. Number 1, The Magician's Nephew. Number 2, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Mind
Rose's whole
blown.
life is different now.
I feel like I've been living a different life. I feel like what is that thing where like you look at the name of something and you think it's spelled one way, but it's really spelled another way? The Mandela
effect.
Yes. Do you know what the Mandela effect is?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, how do I explain it? So the Mandela effect is...
I think just saying it, people know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway,
You're fine.
I feel like I have experienced the Mandela effect just now. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
See, that's why I need y'all in my life, because honestly, I just don't know anything.
my goodness.
Carry
I
on.
can't stop
Dying.
laughing. How do we come back from this?
We don't.
Oh, God.
We don't.
Okay, bye.
No. The end. See you next time.
Oh my goodness, this is chaos.
I'm crying.
I know. Oh my goodness.
There you go.
Rose, we love you, but that was the funniest thing in the world.
Well, just
Okay.
wait till next time because I'll have more funny stuff.
It's true. All right, let's just breathe through this. We're almost done.
Okay. Next.
Oh yeah, it's me.
It's
Okay.
your turn.
So I'm like, wait, hold on. So the last book I'm gonna mention, actually, I was just talking to one of the queens about because I feel like nobody reads this series, but they need to because it is so freaking amazing. And I was like, I need to reread this too because I feel like it's gonna hit all the feels for me. And it's The Falconer by Elizabeth May. It's a trilogy, and it is about fairies.
Ooh.
But it's set in 1884. Very proper
Ooh.
girl is our main character, and she is like, yeah, I'm a lady. But in secret, she is training to kill the fairy race because the fairies are killing off humans. And so her whole goal in life is to kill the fairy who killed her mother. And there's a very adorable enemies to lovers that is like hardcore so good, and the writing is beautiful and the covers are beautiful and it's so good. And I feel like it's just nobody ever talks about this series because it just got overshadowed by other series that came out around the same time.
Is it older?
And yes. Yeah. And it needs to be read by everybody I know because it's so good. Yeah, I highly recommend. And I actually, when I was going through my Kindle, I realized I have all 3 books on my Kindle. So guess what Valia is going to be rereading. So yeah, I'm very excited to dive into it again because I remember loving it so hard. And yeah,
Wow.
that's it. That's all I've got for you.
That's awesome because I love the description and I've never heard of that book, or maybe I've seen the cover and I just didn't realize what it was.
I'm trying to think if, yeah, it really did fall by the wayside because it came out around the same time as other books that were a little more popular. But yeah, it's so good. It's really good. Joanna, I think you would love it.
I would.
actually.
It sounds like
Yeah.
something. Yeah. I've written a couple series set in that time period, so I love that time period.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all we have for you guys. I'm still recovering from Rose here, so my brain is done.
I am here
just
for
gonna-
your entertainment, people.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, listeners, I was going to say readers, but readers and listeners, please let us know what a book that gets you out of a reading slump. We would love to add more books to our TBR as usual.
Yep.
Make sure to follow us on at Reading Queens Pod on Instagram. That's where we share all of the little tidbits and quotes we love and pictures from our reading lives and all that stuff. So yeah, make sure to give us a follow there. And then before you go, please give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform and leave a star rating or a review. And then tell everybody that we are nuts and we're having fun and you should come listen to us.
We, as in Rose.
I mean, all of us, okay? But yes, Rose specifically.
Especially.
No. And we love you for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is all I have for you. So we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.